Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another 2K21 video. This is going to be the first episode of a series that I am going to be doing of tutorial videos that are going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be going over everything that I can possibly think of that is warranted to get a tutorial video. Everywhere from tempo, putting, wind, elevation, pitch shots, shipping, partial shots, hitting from bad lies, splashes, I mean all of it. I'm going to go over it all and kind of just give you all of the knowledge that I have about this game to hopefully help you become a better virtual golfer. Especially since I know a lot of people are struggling with 2K21. Hopefully this series of tutorials will help you get better. Now, these are just tips and tricks that I have. At the end of the day, though, in order to get better at this game, it does take a lot of practice. This isn't something that you could just jump right into and just become a god at. I have thousands of hours in the golf club series, probably over 2,000 at this point in time. I already have about 170, a little over 170 now across PC and PlayStation on PGA 2K21. And I'm still figuring some stuff out. It just takes a lot of practice, especially for this iteration of the game. It takes a ton of practice. But I'm going to give you everything that I have so far and all of the tricks that I have found so far. And I thought the best one to start with is some tips to help you hit the ball straighter along your swing plane. This has nothing to do with tempo. This is just if you're dealing with, hitting it to the left, hitting it to the right on the swing plane. Hopefully this video will help you get a little better at not doing that. So to start it off, we have a nice little handy dandy hand cam, just so I can kind of show you all what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. So for this is if you're dealing with, pulling it back. Maybe you're going off to the like a right to left, or you got like a spaghetti noodle, which is what I call it, where you're kind of a little weak on the stick, so it kind of gets squiggly like that. Don't mind the tempo, but you might get a little squiggly in your line. You're looking to hit it straight. What are some tips to hit it straight? So tip number one that I give people is, if you have to, don't be afraid to look down at the controller when you're swinging. The way that sticks work on a controller, if you start your swing back to the right, let's say, the stick's natural reaction to that when you're gonna start your downswing is it wants to return back to center. That's just how all sticks work. They want to return back to center. So if you don't start your backswing straight down, the stick will automatically, especially if you're holding it a little loosely, will automatically want to return to center. So you'll notice if you're pulling it back right, about halfway through your downswing, your stick will normally return back to center, and then you'll follow through to the left, or you'll actually straighten it out at the downswing portion of your swing. So what you're going to want to do, the first tip to try to hit a straighter shot, is look down at your controller. Make sure you are pulling the stick back straight. And if you're not pulling it back straight as you're looking down at the controller, just reset the shot. Release the stick, put it back to the center, and start again. And continue to do this. Pull it back straight, pull it back straight. And when you got it straight, as you're looking down at the controller, you can feel the vibration if you want to go by that. I usually just make sure I'm pulling it back straight. I'll look up, make sure my distance is correct, and then I'll complete the swing. When I was doing this, I used this method of looking down at the controller through Golf Club 1, all of Golf Club 2, and part of Golf Club 2019. I used it for years, until that repetition just got put in place. I probably could have stopped at like Golf Club 2, but it just kind of became a habit. And eventually, once you get that habit down, that thumb movement of pulling it back straight every time as you're looking down at the controller, eventually you'll get to the point where you can just pull it down and swing it straight. That was a little off to the left, but you get what I'm saying. Eventually you'll get there. You have to pull it back straight. If you don't, your entire swing from that point in time is going to be messed up. Tip number 2. Say you are swinging it constantly just slightly to the right. Every time you're starting it slightly to the right and maybe finishing it to the right, or slightly to the right and coming back to the center, or even slightly to the left, no matter what it may be. Let's say you're consistently doing that. And that can happen throughout the course of a round, too. You might get to hole 4 in a round and realize that you're just pulling it back slightly to the right at all times. So the next tip is make micro adjustments to the way you're holding the controller. So if you're pulling it back to the right, back to the right, back to the right, turn the controller in your hand a little bit. So if you're straight up, swinging, and you're pulling it back, and you're noticing that you're consistently to the right or to the left, actually physically turn the controller in your hand. That way, that pulling back to the right, if you're doing the same motion, will straighten out. They're little micro adjustments. I actually do this throughout the course of a round. If I'm noticing that I'm pulling it back to the right, pulling it back to the left, whatever it may be, make little micro adjustments to the way you're holding the controller. This goes for this and Xbox controllers, or whatever controller you're using. Just make little micro adjustments to the way you're holding it. That way, those pulling it to the left, pulling it to the right, whatever it may be, you can adjust for that to make sure that you're pulling it back straight. Sometimes it's not even that much. Sometimes it's just a little tiny adjustment. If this is straight up, sometimes you just got to turn it, like this much, and then position your hand on the controller again and start swinging just like normal. So if you find yourself, pulling it to the right every time consistently, yeah, just turn your controller in your hand and then do that same exact motion and you'll get it straightened out. The third tip that I have is find a grip and a swing that works for you. And once you find it, never change it. Ever. Don't ever change it. Once you get it consistently down, you just want to get yourself into that nature of hitting that shot over and over and over and over again. So like for me personally, I put almost my entire thumb onto the top of the stick. That gives me the most control over the stick to pull it back straight and to finish. Some people will put it at the bottom of the stick. Some people will do fingertip. I've seen that before. If holding it differently, like if holding it like this works for you, like sideways works for you, I hold it at kind of just like I'm just holding the controller and I address the stick and pull it back and shoot. Whatever works for you, stick to it. Try different things too. Don't think that you have to only use your thumb. I know people who set the controller down and they do it like this. They pull it back and swing like that. There's also the chess piece or the claw grip, which is holding the controller with 3 fingers. And they hold it just like they would if they're moving a chess piece on a board. They hold it like that and they swing. I mean, I've seen some double thumb. I don't even know if that works anymore, but I've seen double thumb. There's many ways that you can test to try, but once you find that way of holding the controller and gripping the stick to get you a straight shot, stick to that. You can work on tempo later. You want to find the straight shot first. That is the most important. Tempo is important, but if you're not hitting the ball straight, nowhere where the ball is going. So get to the grip of the controller down. Find one that works for you to swing the club straight. The next tip that I have is something that has worked for me since I started playing this game. I don't know if it will work for you, but it is something that maybe you want to try. So for me, I will put my entire thumb onto this controller, right? But for some, you'll keep your thumb on the controller all the way to the top. And what I've noticed is keeping your thumb on the controller all the way to the top, sometimes you will have a situation where your downswing at the top, if you don't release it and let it go back to center, you'll get these weird, I call them canes, where the line at the top will squiggle to the left or to the right, which will cause you to either pull or push the ball. So what I do is on my follow through, I finish my follow through and I completely remove my thumb from the stick. That allows the stick to return back to its center location and to complete the swing. So I will pull back, push forward to complete the swing, and completely remove my thumb from the controller to make sure that the swing has been completed, that the stick, I am no longer controlling the stick at the top, because if you just slightly move it at the top, sometimes it will register that and cause you to pull or to push it. So we pull it back and completely remove from the controller. Just completely remove it. Get rid of it. It's worked for me for years. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it's just something that I have done forever. Also, I'm sitting in a really weird position right now holding this controller, the way the webcam's set up. So that's probably why it's not the straightest of lines. But yeah, just remove it from the controller. That's what I've done for a long time. And it has worked for me since really the first golf club. And again, if that doesn't work for you, if you're holding it like, you know, like this, and like you can't release it, just find something that works for you. That's what it comes down to. Find something that works for you and beat it like a dead horse. You keep doing that same exact swing over and over and over and over and over again. Which leads me to my final tip, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier. But if you want to get better at this game, it just takes a ton of practice. You have to get that repetition built into your game in order to get that consistency down. I know today's age, you know, you want to just hop into a game and be a god at it, but sometimes it's just not how it works. Sometimes you need to practice a ton. And this is one of those games. You can put hundreds of hours into this game and still sometimes mess it up. It's what's great about the game of golf, honestly. So practice, practice, practice. Find a grip that works for you. Find a position on the stick that works for you. Look down at the controller. Make sure you're pulling it back straight. Complete your downswing. For me, release your thumb off of the stick. It doesn't have to be exaggerated like I was kind of showing, but just complete the motion and just keep your thumb moving while the stick just moves back to its center location. Make micro adjustments when needed and just put it all together and practice that over and over again. So hopefully this helps you. If it does, make sure to let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on the video. Think about subscribing to the channel. I have a ton of tutorial videos coming out. There's going to be probably over 20. I'm also gathering tutorial data for tutorials that people may like to see. So if there's a tutorial that you want to see, just make sure you comment it down below, and I'll try to work it into the rotation of tutorials that I will have coming out. Thank you for watching this video, though. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and we will catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Deuces.